only a couple times could have hit a little bit better Void Prisons or the Ancestral Healings. They could have turned the fights on their heads, but ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to slow down at all.
Yeah.
We do have a best of 5. Game 2 is going to be happening on Dragonshire. And Dignitas respecting that Murd, and once again, this time banning it out. Navi saying, all right, on this map, we definitely don't want to deal with that Zeratul.
Yeah, respect ban for sure here for Dignitas. But to be honest, a solo tank, Arthas, did a lot of work too. I mean, he was nigh unkillable with all those defensive talents, with all that self-sustain that he brings to the table. Really scary there for Navi.
Yeah, did really, really well, and a first pick here on Uther on a map like this. A very good choice. Dignitas, they love their Karazim, but I think they can identify that here on Dragonshire, you know, we've talked about this many times. If you've captured both shrines, they're not being contested, you can throw down the Divine Shield on one of your teammates, and you can channel and get a Dragon Knight, which is also strong.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty sick combo, just working around that Battleground objective, of course. And that leaves the other standard top picks, the Yorick and Kel'Thas. Nothing too crazy here so far early in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, they've been leaning towards Kel'Thas so frequently, and having Leoric, of course, a rock-solid warrior in that front line, also great for clearing out the lanes very quickly. This will allow them to rotate rather aggressively between the mid and bottom lane, and they might be trying to set up for a few things. They could go for Asmodan, quite strong in this Battleground, the glow build, not too much of that this weekend, or something like Raynor to really get those seasoned marksman stacks with those early rotations.
Yeah, and talking about wave clear, I mean, Johanna's still open, very strong with Knight takes the pawn. You definitely want to go for that as early as possible if you actually prioritize those warriors first, but Team Dignitas going for another route here, picking up the Arthas that Navi used so efficiently in the last Battleground.
This might be a case of they just played against Arthas. Arthas did really well. They're like, that was strong. Let's just pick him up ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, that happens. That happens when you're playing a best-of series.
But a funny story about that, though. We talked to Zarmany a couple of days ago, and he was like, I actually don't enjoy playing Arthas that much. So he's definitely not too happy about his maybe ADR's choice there.
And you see Navi bans out Kerrigan, realizing the power of that duo. So just getting that out. Tyrande might be banned by Dignitas if they're worried about that potential. But no, they're banning a Falstad. They must know something.
Okay. Yeah, well, something's up here for sure. The Falstad ban. I mean, the Murder ban, not that odd. But the Falstad ban definitely on. Kerrigan, like you said, I mean, with the Arthas too, of course, with Uther too, that's a known combo just to wreck those team fights.
They don't want to have to face the potential Lamb to the Slaughter Mighty Gods combo.
Maybe, I mean, but okay, even with that possibility though, do you use such an important ban on the slight chance that you see that, you know, combination of heroics on this Battleground?
I'm actually surprised to see, I mean, they picked Arthas themselves, but Kerrigan can work with other heroes as well, and Dragonshire is certainly not a bad map for Kerrigan. You know, distances between the lanes are very short, which allows her to potentially do some deadly ganks in the early game.
So you felt like Kerrigan maybe would have been a better pick in place of Arthas here?
I'm not sure if Dignitas feels comfortable in Kerrigan. We haven't seen it in their roster at all.
Very true. All right, well, Johanna going to be that next war here on the side of Navi. Very strong. Having Johanna Leoric is a rock-solid front line, but you don't have the same kind of approach until you have Blessed Shield, right? We think about Murden with the Stormbolt, you can really lock down that target. It's a bit harder to do. Skeletal Swing, you can get the Paralyzing Rage for that big, massive slow on multiple targets. We'll see how it works out for them.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, especially also how else they round it out. Of course, they've got their damage somewhat covered with that Kel'Thas already on the side of Navi. Do you expect them now to just then fill it out with more utility here, like that Tyrande possibly coming back in?
Tyrande is certainly not a bad map on, not a bad hero, excuse me, on Dragonshire. I mean, that's one of her biggest strengths, actually. She can be played on almost any map. Her utility is just a global thing. You know, vision is always good. You can always use that in a hero brawl like Heroes of the Storm. So I don't see a reason why Tyrande should not be picked on Dragonshire as well.
And I mean, Navi, that's what they do at the end of the day here. That's what they're so good at. But they go for the Raynor here as one of their damage dealers. So now they find themselves with two very strong tanks, the two best on paper here with Leoric and Johanna at the front, Kel'Thas, Raynor behind those. All they are going to need is a support, and I'm already liking their draft a lot here.
Yeah, now I want to pose the question then, is Dignitas a little bit in trouble because Raynor being picked up again? I mean, Raynor, of course, one of the more standard assassins. Are they lacking a little bit in choice in where their damage comes from? Because now, probably the other top picks left are melee assassins more than ranged, right? Falstad was banned out. I mean, they have Jaina, but then Kel'Thas was taken away, Raynor was taken away.
I wouldn't be against them going for something like Tyrande, because what Raynor's going to want to do is go for Seasoned Marksman at level 1 to just maximize his damage output. You can just farm up the additional damage. if you
Especially
don't
on
have a
this map.
lot of
Yeah.
aggression with his attacks like Sonya, then Rainer, well, he can't afford to go for Seasoned Marksman. He might want to go for Give Me More now that he sees a hero like Sonya being picked up.
And even that combined,
wow.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
there is so much engagement in the team comp that Dignitas is putting on the field right now.
What heroics are you guys thinking, actually, from Arthas here and TRL?
Well, you know, a very old school style was called the Eraser build, where you go Judgment Material to dive in, and then the Heroic Leap on Sonya to pick out one hero and blow them up as fast as humanly possible. We haven't seen that in a long time, but could be resurfacing here today.
Yeah, that could be it. But in that case, then Arthas a little bit more open then in terms of his heroics, right? Because it's not necessarily about that one target. Maybe you take Army of the Dead just to be a little bit more of that front line. Maybe you take the Cindergrossa more for the back line.
But if you have something like a Sonya or a Tyrael at your side, you don't necessarily have to go for Army of the Dead, because those two heroes can also absorb a lot of incoming damage. So maybe the Cindergrossa can sort of pave the way for all that strong follow-up that...
So you're telling me that we might see Cindergrossa, Judgment, and Leap together?
It's entirely possible, but
well, that would be crazy, but it would work, right?
the Eraser build just got a big hinder in its plan, though, because Divine Palm will shut that down so effectively. But of course, you still have Sanctification. You could still go for a lot of different options.
But I want to pose a question then. If you take all three of those heroics, what if you split Judgment and Leap onto two of the damage dealers, one on Kael'thas, one on Raynor, and then Cindergrossa across the board? You can only Divine Palm one of those targets.
That sounds almost as good as the mana build with Karazim.
3-1, baby. I mean, hey, bring on the 75% win weight. That's not a bad thing to have in a final of the European Championship. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the draft is complete for game number 2. Currently, Na'Vi leading after a very close game 1 on Tune the Spider Queen. But before we jump into the game, we have another special guest to share their idea on the draft for game 2 coming up.
Well, thank you. And I'm here with Anna Prosser. And well, that was an amazing game. And well, you have something special for us today. But what? We're not going to tell. You're not going to tell. So, what do you think of this draft?
Well, we've been running around pretty crazy backstage. I didn't get to see and analyze it as much as I want, but what I thought was really interesting were the bans at the beginning. We saw the Zeratul ban. We've been seeing him picked late, as the commentators were saying, so that was really interesting that it was a priority for them to get him out of the running. I was really sad to see the Kerrigan ban. She's one of my favorites, and seeing the Brightwing Kerrigan Arthas together last game was a favorite of mine. It's kind of a throwback to what we used to play early alpha. But what I think is really interesting about the picking and banning is I think that it maybe threw off what some of these teams were planning, and now we're seeing this 3 warrior composition, which we saw kind of coming into play at the Americas Championship too. And I was a little bit skeptical of the 3 warrior composition before, but it's been working really well for some teams, so I'm excited to see how it's going to match up here.
Well, me too. So let's get back to the commentators.
All right, game number 2 here for the final between Na'Vi and Dignitas. And what we've seen from Na'Vi so far, as much as they were given a bit of a run for their money there in that first game, still absolute power. Just really being able to capitalize on small little subtle mistakes there in the very, very late game.
Yeah, nice drafting, nice strategy, and most of all, great teamwork and execution there.
And I think overall what we saw in that draft there, Grubby, I mean, you pointed it out beautifully whilst that was going on to me. You know, Raynor, the anticipation that they had with the Raynor, knowing that there was likely to be a lot of potential warriors coming out later on in that draft. It's really good foresight here by Na'Vi.
Yeah, I mean, there were a few clues leading to it. First of all, you've got the Uther first pick, even though you know that they prefer Karazim. Okay, Uther is one who protects a high-risk, high-reward character really well. So you've got characters come to mind like Sonya, Kerrigan. And then you have Arthas. Oftentimes he's not the solo warrior. And so you know more warriors are going to come out. You take someone like Raynor to take them out.
And of course here on Dragonshire we have 3 lanes across this battlefield, and the objective is simple. There are 2 shrines up at the top and down towards the bottom, and it's something like why they would prioritize Uther again. He's very strong on a map like this, because if you do throw a Divine Shield down on the person capping the Dragon Knight, it can be an instant guarantee. If you're able to get that Dragon Knight, it does push down these lanes for you with the Fire Breath as well as a very, very strong axe. And he will breathe his way to victory.
Oftentimes in pro games, you see that Dragon Knight trying to be captured not too early, actually. You see a lot of vying there for control of the bottom and the top shrine. And that is also why we see that Falstad removal, because he can fly quickly to join his allies in combat at one of the other lanes. Now it's starting up. It's really starting to heat up here with a Na'Vi 1-0 score. They are still undefeated in this tournament with an 8-0 score.
And will they continue, or will this team to the left-hand side be able to ruin their day? As we have Arthuro here on Sonya, Snitch on Tyrael, Bakery on Uther, Zarmony on Arthas, and finally AD RD here on Jaina for Team Dignitas. And over to the right-hand side, we have Na'Vi with JPL on Kael'thas, Alex the Pro G on Leoric, Splendor will be playing Karazim, we have Eternal on Arena, and finally Johanna here has been playing by Shrimpy.
All right, oftentimes on this map, you used to have this copy of other MOBAs where you put the support in the top lane and then have like a 1-1-3 spread. That has been neither here nor there recently. Dragonshire was, admittedly by the developers, played in a completely different way than they had envisioned. And actually you have people going for 4 people in the middle and 1 to the top and rotate between the middle and bottom. Once that's a reality, there's nothing really that prevents you from doing a 5-man in the middle so that you have 1 more in the middle here. Now everyone 5-man brawl starting to happen here on Splendor.
Oh, Karazim is going to end up going down there very quickly. It was interesting to focus Alex the Pro G because of Wraithwalk, but then they really turned on the heat against Karazim. Picked him up very quick.
Yeah, I think Na'Vi was a little bit overconfident because they saw, yeah, we got a 5 versus 4 here. Tyrael isn't here. You're already starting to settle into your routine with a 1-4 rotation. And suddenly Tyrael came back in and secured the kill for his team as well.
Snitch up towards the top lane, throwing Eldraine Smite and poking forwards just to give himself a little retreat path on out of there. Rare you see Snitch having to play a warrior, but because they've gone for this 3 warrior setup, he will be on Tyrael, and it gives them some good offensive capabilities as well because he's so used to that kind of melee assassin role.
Yeah, Tyrael plays a little bit similarly sometimes, particularly with Judgment as Zeratul.
Yeah.
And we see some smart plays there by him, throwing Eldraine Smite behind him, waiting, hoping that Alex the Pro G activates his W ability, the Drain Hope, and is about to go teleport and break that off prematurely.
Yeah, very, very nice foresight there, as they're already spotting all of these rotations, keeping themselves in these bushes, almost acting like a sentry drone, really, to be able to make sure that they know when their opponents are going to be moving. But already both shrines have been taken here by Na'Vi. They have to be a bit careful. Arthas is guarding the middle.
Now Snitch is trying to take this away here from Alex the Pro G, and he's going to get some unexpected help here from Ethereal Angel. Of course, Wraithwalk from Alex the Pro G will be able to get him back to safety. And once again, both shrines are in control of Na'Vi, since there was not a full occupation of that top shrine by Team Dignitas.
And we see Snitch having rotated on around towards the middle to just make sure that they're going to be well and truly defended against that. And noticeably, Jaina actually going down as well here, though. So a pick up there for Na'Vi, equalizing up those kills.
Uther now manning the fort at the bottom. Since they lost the hero here, they're going to be 2 versus 3 at best, and actually decide to rotate upwards to where Leoric is now being harassed by Tyrael and Sonya together.
Yeah. Interesting that Sonya overall actually repositioned herself here up towards the top to really put on the pressure against Alex the Pro G, so that they can almost always guarantee themselves the top shrine and never fall into that situation where you lose one person, both shrines are then taken, and then you just lose the Dragon Knight instantly.
A true nightmare from Hero League if those rotations are failing. A 4 versus 2 here.
So much damage. Bomb! Oh, gonna be taken down. Eternal with that last auto attack as well, sealing the deal there on that kill on towards Jaina, and going down twice now.
Yeah, together with that chain bomb, it was enough. JPL throwing his insidious fire magic on Jaina there, probably because he was scorned in love by Jaina, actually, in the lore of Warcraft 3. No lost love for her anymore. Sonya here contesting the top shrine with Alex the Pro G. He's gonna have to get out of that Drain Hope there. We'll go back in again. She does beat Leoric once that W is gone.
Yeah, she does. And
bottom shrine now being fought over.
Bakery just positioning himself, trying to push them off that. Splendor technically has the opportunity to, you know, poke in there, poke back out with Radiant Dashes if he really wants to. Not much that's going to be done with that at all. We see ADRD and Zarmony just rotating on around here. We were looking maybe for an opportunity to check the easy cam, making sure it wasn't going to be taken there, but Arthur was going to end up paying for this as they were all up towards the top. Sonya goes down, and so far the triple warrior lineup not been working out just yet.
Yeah, it's a great composition once they get to level 10 and get all their heroics, but they're a little bit weaker in the early game in terms of finishing people off. They're gonna focus their efforts on the bottom lane now, but we see closing in on them 4 enemies, 4 Na'Vi players.
Oh, and ADRD very, very low again. This could be a 3rd kill onto Jaina. The bomb is going to be enough to seal the deal, as well as Harmony trying to get on away. There was the Howling Blast for Harmony to try and slow them down, but it wasn't enough. Snitch coming around to help on out. Alex the Pro G with Skeletal Swing. Definitely not enough with the health he had next to that gate.
Yeah, Snitch can use those Tyrael abilities in multiple ways. He's got Eldruin's Might with which he can teleport and damage. Baker actually going to get taken down here.
Navi's all over Dignitas at the moment with the kills here and there and slowing them down. They've got a level lead at the moment. And once they hit level 10, there's a huge window there for them to control these shrines and then get a Dragon Knight.
Guys, Dragonshire is one of the most difficult maps to play. If you lose one member, your whole strategy and rotation could fall asunder here, as you will always be one down, be it middle, top, or bottom reactively.
Snitch
They've got to try and stabilize.
It's trying to slow down them from getting on towards Harmony. Eldruin's Might across the wall there on towards the Bruiser camp, but that's going to allow them to get Dragon Knight if they're not careful, and they will be able to pick it up. First Dragon Knight goes over to Navi, and they're going to get themselves some towers from this one.
Yeah, Dragon Knight does bonus damage to fortifications, although it can be used in direct combat. The goal of the game is to kill off all of the opponent's fortifications and make your way to the core and kill that. So the more damage you can do, the better. And also, experience is very high off of enemy fortifications.
Yeah.
Usually, in the beginning, you saw Dragon Knight being used to try and get a fort already, but instead, front walls will be taken down as every tower gives 400 XP.
Yeah, and the Dragon Knight is so tanky that it does actually stop them from actually going into the other locations to try and slow them down. They've been able to jump onto Eternal. The palm actually hits the wrong person. Eternal might end up going down. He gets him with the misclick on the palm. They're trying to save Rainer. It wasn't enough. Snitch and Athero, though, very, very low here. Athero might end up going down towards the bottom here. He is Sonya, so he's not as tanky as the other warriors in this composition, but this Whirlwind is doing a lot here. Splendor under some pressure here at the same time, and they will all be able to get out for now.
Yeah, Iron Skin gives Shrimpy his second chance at life as he gets away there. No, nice dodge by Alex the Pro G, dodging that blast. But keep in mind, all throughout, Dragon Knight has been going ham, taking out that top fort with the final touches of JPL's Kael'thas.
Double-edged blade there for Na'Vi. Of course, you know, they didn't have Kael'thas there, so they couldn't follow up with any kills, but he got themselves a fort up towards the top and all that structural damage. So, you know, they're not too displeased with that kind of trade at all.
Yeah, and Team Dignitas, they probably got the most they could. They were level 8 versus 10 with pressure on all sides. They got Rainer kill, which is actually a gift since Splendor's Divine Palm unfortunately missed. It's not easy in the melee of battle to actually hit the right target, especially when the character models are overlapping. One thing to consider when you consider your positioning, and Rainer was taken out there.
And now this is really where the triple warrior composition gathers some momentum. Judgment, Wrath of the Berserker, as well as Army of the Dead for Arthas to be tanky, but it's all about him locking people down with the Howling Blast and being able to slow them down with the Frozen Tempest that he does have available. So it's definitely a little bit of a scary position now.
A 5 versus 3 here. Johanna, unstoppable, has already gone. Swimpy is trying to run away here. Hammer of Justice going down.
And it looks like they're going to jump on straight towards the tag down towards bottom. Shrimpy, saved by Divine Palm, great Divine Palm there to be able to keep him alive. The Whirlwind here trying to keep Arthur up and running, but he's going to end up falling. Bakery has to get on out of there. He's going to be knocked back with Penetrating Round, and Alex the Pro G will be able to pick him up. Still heals coming out of Uther though, on towards Snitch. They're going to have to disengage from this one. There's too much power. Eldruin's Might over the wall, and ADRD will also escape.
A very smart move by Team Dignitas to try and 5 versus 3 the enemy at the top there. I really like their move. There was only 40 seconds until Na'Vi would have soaked all the way to level 13, giving them that power spike of a new talent, which Team Dignitas wouldn't have anytime soon. So while I feel they made the right choice strategically, they were simply outplayed a little bit here as they were focusing Johanna, who was the nearest thing. If they didn't try to focus Johanna, the enemy would be forewarned of their intentions and the strategy would fall. But they almost got her, but the Divine Palm saved her at the very last second.
And there's some comfort here from Na'Vi on the other side. Actually, Quicksilver at level 13 being taken on the Kharazim over something like Relentless. So it's going to give him the ability to speed up one of his allies by 30% movement speed. So a very aggressive talent choice here by Na'Vi.
Yeah, going for mobility and not safety on himself. Snitch, oh, the gravity lapse misses!
Oh, he's going to end up going down anyway with
enough.
that. Brilliant little condemn and combination there on the damage. Big stuff going down there. Arthuro's going to try and steal this shrine, but this could easily be another Dragon Knight. There's no one near the top shrine at all here for Team Dignitas.
Yeah, one thing you can do when you don't deserve to have the map control is to play a kind of ping-pong game of cat and mouse, where you keep rotating, take the top in force, take the bottom in force, but as it is, they didn't have the positioning, nor the numbers, nor the time to try and stop that. So they yielded the ground, gave the Dragon Knight, and once again, Kelthas on the Dragon Knight here.
JPL just going to be able to power down some locations here. It leaves a good ability here for the rest of the team to kind of help that out. Don't want your healer in that Dragon Knight. You need him to be able to just make sure that an engagement is kind of sustained during all of this. JPL going to knock away Jaina. Arthuro waiting on at the edge of this battle just in case he sees an opportunity. But Alex the Pro G coming in with a flank. Skeletal swing on towards Zarmany, and he will be able to drain some health there from a tank.
Now keep in mind that Na'Vi hasn't seen Aethero Angel on the Sonya, so they might know there could be a flank. Now Aethero showing himself, drinking from the fountain, lots of heal there with the Whirlwind as well.
Yeah, and even though he's full health, that'll still be able to tick off if he actually does get some damage going over towards him. There's going to be the Wraith Walk here from Alex the Pro G, keeping himself alive, wanting to disengage from this position, because Dignitas at the moment, they don't need to take this fight. They're approaching level 16 soon for another talent opportunity.
Yeah, and also with Kelthas in the Dragon Knight, they miss a very important source of damage.
Yes.
It was also about to wind out, so he could suddenly find himself hitting at melee range with the Dragon Knight, but then suddenly Kelthas is there, not where he wants to be. So they wisely pulled back here. We're about to get level 16. There's like a 3-second window for Team Dignitas to fight a pre-level 16 fight. They're not going to be able to make use of that at all, so they're going to have to play rather passively unless they can get a numerical advantage in a team fight anytime soon.
Grabbing themselves that giant camp up towards top of this lane. The hard camp being done there for a moment, but they know when to go away from it because that's big damage going on towards Jada. She's going to die off. Divine Shield's been used on Bakery here, and they're having to disengage once again, but there could be the follow-up. Alex the Pro G is coming in from the side. He's got his skeletal swing on towards him. He's slowing him down. There's no Divine Shield. Bakery's going to pop. He ends up going down. Another 2-for-0 trade here for Na'Vi.
Brave move there by Aethero Angel. He tried to distract the enemy attention with a fake Heartstone, but they kept going for the easy target, which was Uther. Na'Vi here getting a surprise 5 versus 3. A mistake by Team Dignitas. 3 of them down there. As they did not know the enemy's location. Now a keep is going to go down. A huge advantage for Team Natus Vincere. Level 17.5 versus 14.8.
And we can actually listen into Dignitas' team speak now to see exactly how they're coordinating this position. It's a little bit difficult for them right now. So let's hear in on Team Dignitas.
Yeah, he's gonna push top. Just probably try to fight bottom. Oh, because Oric is top. Can do blood cards.
So we can only assume that they stay calm under the duress of being behind 0-1 here.
Seems so here as Na'Vi now going to be able to, well, they actually give themselves away this hard camp towards the bottom, and shrines are going to be taken once again here, 1 for each team. They're looking to try and get some pressure on, but they don't have the level 16 talents just yet.
Still, it's a 5 versus 4, so they're going to start doing some pressure with the Bruiser camp here, starting to kill some towers. That tower helps a lot all the way to level 16, but Leoric, he's starting to rotate down. This is a 4 versus 4. Bakery takes a lot of damage.
Yeah, Bakery going to be really blown up there very, very quickly here as we have Alex the Pro G also being on to put some pressure on towards Arthuro. Arthur's has ended up going down as well here, so losing 2 against Na'Vi. This is really spiraling out of control now for Dignitas.
Yeah, and when we talk about power spikes, Galaris, we look at these 2 teams, the drafts, and I'm going to say Kelthas gets really strong at level 13. Raynor gets really strong as the game goes on, 16 plus. Normally I would like to see a team like Dignitas be slightly in the level lead and then say, hey guys, be careful because Na'Vi will have a late game power spike. The opposite is true here. Somehow, some way, Natus Vincere has got an advantage with better scaling late game heroes. And until Dignitas gets level 20, it's gonna look much the same here.
I think so. There's Dragon Knight now putting on some pressure towards this keep, and Na'Vi here, so much of an experienced lead, 19 against 16. Yes, of course, the talents are even, but there's a big stat advantage here for Na'Vi, looking to put on some pressure here against them. That's a great condemn to actually continue on these living bombs down towards the bottom. Zarmany and Snitch constantly chaining those. Zarmany's gonna have to get away from the team, and he's chained it again to Snitch.
Yeah, Na'Vi doesn't want to give them that time to level 20, getting down a second keep here with the Dragon Knight. Gonna turn around, they still have 25 seconds left. it.
Also, I didn't really notice it before, but it's double burning rage on the side here of Na'Vi. So the longer these fights go on, especially with this level disparity, the more damage Dignitas are really taking. They have to finish a fight really, really quickly. As much as it is a triple warrior composition, it eventually adds up a lot.
Think about it. Your team Dignitas, you've got 4 melee heroes. You've got to engage hard on the opponent. And who are your prime targets? Raynor and Kel'Thas, if left alone, are going to rip you to shreds. Such a smart pickup at the time when they did. Raynor is known as an auto attacker, a basic attacker who is exceptionally good at killing tanks, at killing warriors.
Oh, and speaking of a kill, Divine Shield goes down on towards him. He's going to judgment straight on through there to one of the backlines. And JPL, very, very low, pops his arcane barrier. Divine Palm's been thrown down onto him. It's not even going to be necessary though. He gets away from the wall. Snitch is going to end up falling. Thanks to the focus fire. March of the Black King comes on in there. On towards Arthuro and ADRD. They're taking big damage. Blink forward from Inferno. They get the level 20s. Talent the Master coming into this fight. Arthuro's going to fall. They sacrifice Raynor, but that's a 3-for-1 trade for Na'Vi, and they are going to be going straight through to try and finish this onto the core.
A full choice of adaptation by Raynor, normally picking up Nexus Frenzy, now going for Bolt of the Storm as an adaptation because he saw, yes, if I blink forward here, I can take down that Sonya player. Actually paid for it with his life, but a 4 versus 2 is more than enough to be able to finish off that core. Well done.
Na'Vi knows they've got it now. It's 2-0 here in this best of 5, and they are 1 game away from the flawless tournament that they have set themselves upon so far. This is